EV adoption is still growing in the US and it's growing quite a bit more in Europe and Asia. There's this idea that because of the change in administration that, well, EVs had a good run, but they are done. No, this will only forfeit the US's place as a leader in a number of these technologies in this industry as a whole, because as Bloomberg points out, the whole world is switching to EVs faster than you. Let's take a look at some of those countries and see what it actually means, see how close we can get to the story. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Aza. It's a very popular idea among petrol heads, among diehard diesel boys, among the fossil fuel industry, and the people who repeat their talking points without critically thinking about them. This is the end for EVs. But it isn't. And if you look around the world, you'll see that countries that don't have a domestic auto industry to protect are moving quickly towards the Chinese brands and the Indian brands and all the brands that make EVs, which, to my disappointment, is fewer and fewer US brands. Happens sometimes, right? The whole world is switching to EVs faster than you. Developing nations are surging ahead in their enthusiasm for battery cars. You've heard of some of these leaders before, right? You hear about Norway and Denmark all the time. But would it surprise you to know that there are countries doing even better? So let's take a look here. There's a comforting story that oil bulls like to tell themselves to stave off worries about the future. While the privileged few in Europe and California might have lost their minds over electric vehicles, billions of drivers in the global south are already readying themselves to provide the next wave of petroleum demand. You see, the developing world is still developing, and that means they're, of course, going to use oil, right? Just like how when Africa finally started getting internet, well, they're connecting to the world. We're going to have landlines everywhere. No, they didn't even use land phones that much. They used cell phones. They skipped an entire step. Those who believe this might actually want to have a look at the cars and two-wheelers that people are actually buying right now. Not next year, not in 2030 or 2035, but right now. Far from trailing the rich world in their enthusiasm for battery cars, developing nations are surging ahead. China gets most of the attention, but Vietnam isn't far behind. Pure play EV maker VinFast accounted for more than a third of sales in the country this year. A third. Turkey's 13% sales share for fully electric vehicles was about double the penetration rate in Spain and Australia. And if we look at Indonesia, the share was about the same as the US, but in Malaysia, it was a little bit higher. Well, how can they afford these? These are not rich countries like I'm used to thinking of. So here are the early adopters. Would you look at that? The black ones indicate non-high-income nations. Number one, Nepal. Nepal? Really? Be interesting to see what's going on there. Norway, of course, Sri Lanka, Djibouti, Denmark, Hong Kong, Tajikistan, Ethiopia. Well, we know Ethiopia said no more importing gas guzzlers, no more dyno burners, guys. And there's a big reason for it, a bunch of big reasons for it. I mean, yeah, your air is cleaner, your air is quieter. But more than that, it can mean energy independence. Energy security is national security. That's interesting. Nepal at the top. Ooh, should find out what that's about. Those countries all have legacy car industries still pumping out ICE engines. Not all of them. Things are moving even faster in nations wholly dependent on imports. More than 3/4 of the value of vehicles brought into Nepal. It's actually about 76% was the number I saw for Nepal. Sri Lanka and Djibouti last year was purely electric. Import shares in Ethiopia and Laos were 40 and 30%, and plug-in sales, plug-in hybrids, increased by 60%. As with, So these, if you don't have oil, what are you gonna do? Why is it that Nepal is surging ahead in the way that they are? And if you're looking for some reasons why that might be, well, Nepal's electric generation has, as you can see here, tripled in the past 8 years. You see, Nepal has a lot of mountains and valleys and great places in which to place hydroelectric power. You can put the dams in. So by tripling it, what that means, as you can see, is that they have enough power now to export to the world. As one of 2,000 Out of 2,300 megawatts of electricity connected to the national grid over the period, 1,700 megawatts of electricity was added in the past 3 years. That's really good. Let's see. The records with the authority show that the production grew by 2.3 terawatts. That means they've got enough juice to export, but more importantly, that they've got enough juice that they can keep it at home. You can keep it at home and keep the price real low. So in the US, we're at 12 cents per kilowatt hour for the national average, and that's not too bad. A lot of the country's well above that. California, 25 cents, maybe 50 cents. Massachusetts, 25 cents. Those are expensive states in which to own and operate anything that uses electricity. But 12 cents for the national average, pretty good. 4 cents is very good. And comparing that to $4.50 a gallon for petrol, which is what Nepal pays on account of being, the Himalayas. They have no natural fossil fuel reserves. That's not a part of the world where that exists geographically. That's not a part of the world where that stuff occurs geologically in nature. So what we're talking about here is they have enough to export, they have enough to keep. It is cheaper for them, and there are other benefits too. Let's talk about those. So where did Nepal come from on this list? I mean, we've heard all about the, Nordic countries, Norse if you plunder. It's strange that a country that a lot of people can't find on a map would come out of nowhere. If you go back just a few years, 3 years, you can't even find stats on how many cars are electric in Nepal. There just wasn't enough to count. When I first met my trusty and faithful editor, Raj, who lives in Nepal, I asked him what he knew about them, and the answer was not much, because they just aren't here. Well, what happened? What changed? In 2021, the government decided they're the future, it's time. You see, they've got nothing but low-budget cars. Not nothing but it's the overwhelming majority. They could see cheaper electric cars were coming. As good a time as any, let's do it. So they lowered the import tariff to 0 on electric vehicles and made home charging more available than ever before. That alone was enough to do it. Because forget the 90% per mile savings. Yeah, you've got that. Instead of $4.50 a gallon, 4 cents a kilowatt hour, it's 90% cheaper. But there's also an added efficiency thing you may not have thought of. Nepal's at very high altitude, and dyno burners like oxygen to burn. They kind of need it. So over these just a few years, they've gone from almost no EVs to 76%. Pretty big deal. The city's gotten quieter, the pollution's gotten better, and it's just getting started. So what happens next? Well, the numbers just keep climbing. We're going to see how much quieter it is, how much better the pollution is, and all that. We can look at AQI numbers to get a pretty good idea, or we can just ask some people. Maybe we'll do that. So if you are going to sell cars in Nepal, what do you have to do? Well, any kind of car. There's some critical things here. You need something that's low cost. A few $1,000s, maybe 10 at most. They've got MG Comets for $5,000. They've got Dongfangs for more like 7 or 8. Those are critical in a country that ranks, I think, 165th on per capita income averages. But what you really need is something small. You'll see there's a lot of motorcycles here, but more than that, the cars themselves are just averaging on the smaller side. The trucks are very small. The vans are very small. When you see what looks like a full-size van to us, it's a passenger vehicle. It is a mass transit solution. It's going to have 8, 10, 12 people in it. So you'll see a lot of motorbikes, a lot of scooters. Even the 2- and 3-wheel vehicles are going electric at a runaway pace because that's what you need. They want the clean air, they want the quiet. You can still hear it's still very noisy, but that's a little car. I saw the bus that looked like a full-size van was electric, dead quiet, a little bit of low-speed emission tone. That's what you need. So why no Mach-E's? Why no Equinox? Why no Tesla? And not to say that there are none. I'm sure there are some. I know that there are at least 1 or 2 Teslas in the country. But they're kind of too big, and they're definitely too expensive. So they were able to lean into manufacturers, mostly from China. I'll have a whole series of shows about that. We will get up close and personal with as many as we can. And these will be different cars than the ones I reviewed in China. Those were the upscale cars, the upmarket cars, the expensive cars, the $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 cars. Here we're going to be looking at stuff that's under 12, mostly. Is it any good? I had a chance to ride from the hotel, from the airport to the hotel in a Dongfang, about an $8,000 car, and it was fine. The other thing you need here is ground clearance. The roads are, even in town, pretty bumpy. A lot of potholes, pretty unsophisticated road system. But they will, of course, that will change over time, but that doesn't help you if today is the day you're buying a car. So you need something small, something cheap, something with good ground clearance. I mean, that sounds like a whole new car, right? Well, if you're building whole new cars, might as well make them electric. So that's what we got going on here. Guys, I'm in Nepal. What happened? I don't know how that happened, but it's here. It has happened. I am here. It was a 36-hour flight, and there are no quicker ways. I looked at more expensive tickets, double the cost, but would only shave 6 hours off. It's just a tough place to get to. And to those asking, oh, why didn't you go first class? Well, on a lark, I went ahead and looked up the first class. It would have been, for this flight, $22,000 round trip. Wow, people actually do that. See, that's a little car, a little taxi. I'll show you some more if we get to it. Little dirt bike, little scooter, I mean. Cool. So guys, I do want to thank you for, see, tiny van. And it's a school bus of sorts. I think I might be eaten by mosquitoes here. So I want to thank you to my patrons for helping me make this trip happen. This was exceptionally affordable because once you're here, it's basically free. Thanks to Ed for driving me to the airport so I didn't have to incur the massive parking cost. And yeah, thanks to all of you who are supporters on Patreon, on YouTube as channel members, on X as subscribers. You're the reason I'm able to do such crazy things like this, and I appreciate it. Yeah, we will get you more coverage. We will talk to all kinds of experts, and got a bunch of those lined up. And my editor lives here, so it makes it super easy to get around to figure out what's going on. He looked at the hotel I was staying at and said, no, cancel it. You're going to stay somewhere that may not look as cool on paper, but it's going to have faster Wi-Fi. It's going to be a better deal. It's going to be closer to the things we actually need to do for work instead of, the touristy stuff, which I never get much time for anyway. But I will try to enjoy this trip at least a little bit. Come all this way, kind of feel like I got to, right? So, what did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave it into the comments below, and everybody, please, I beg of you, like, subscribe, hit thumbs, do all the interaction, because this YouTube game is a real tough racket. And it's very easy to just sit at your desk and guess about what's going on in the world. But to get out here myself, to do it myself, to see what's going on myself and understand it, meet the experts, meet the lay folks, that's what I'm trying to do. And it's not easy and it's not free. But I make it free for you guys. So if you do sign up on one of those methods, there's all kinds of bonus material. I do my daily puzzles, not daily, but usually quite often. And I do other stuff too, because it's what I do. I'll cover news stories that are too small to fit or too controversial, too hot for television. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots throughout this Nepalese dream.